This video is long overdue. I teased it on my TikTok back in like May, I'm pretty sure. And I've had the essay written since May as well, but I've been putting it off. This is essentially my first video essay, and I've just been kind of nervous to approach it. And of course I had to throw my camera, right? So with the drink in my hand, because that's what most commentary YouTubers that I watch do, let's begin. So if I had to describe myself in a sentence, it'd be avid capitalism hater and water parks, the band enjoyer. However, today we will be swapping out water parks with uchis. I love uchis. I would die for that woman. I would risk it all for her. So what do I mean by uchis and socialism? I believe that uchis is in some way, shape, or form a socialist or an anti-capitalist, whatever floats your boat. So uchis is a Colombian-American singer-songwriter. She grew up in Colombia until the age of 6, which is when she had to flee back to the US with her family. Her cultural background and the similarities I share with it are the main factors that drive me to this conclusion about her politics. I grew up in Mexico and I crossed the border every day to go to school in the US. Uchis went to school in the US and spent her summers in Colombia. We both saw firsthand the detrimental and long-lasting effects that capitalism has had on our home countries and the differences it has when compared to the US, which is what brought me to anti-capitalism and possibly uchis as well. Although uchis has not explicitly stated that she's a socialist, she weaves an anti-capitalist sentiment throughout a few of her songs. And that's what we're doing today. It's just a lyrical analysis. And although I do speculate that uchis is a socialist, I'm not trying to slander her or anything. Please don't sue me. Your Teeth in My Neck is probably the first song that comes to mind under this context. The title is referencing the metaphorical teeth of the bourgeoisie in the necks of the working class, and the phrase is repeated throughout the chorus. Verse 1 reads, "Gone before sunrise, never sleep on the game, we're all shaking the dice. Now if you roll them hard enough, could change your life. I'm on a roll of my own, I came to fight, I came to fight." This song as a whole has very on-the-nose lyrics. The first verse is literally about waking up to go to work. However, its metaphors are not dissectable at first glance. The dice is a stand-in for how life is a game and sometimes you're able to win it. However, on a deeper level, it's about being born into a certain economic class and how that will usually dictate the rest of your life. One might think that self-made millionaires who built themselves from the ground up are outliers to this, but that is farther from the truth. These people already had capital to invest beforehand, most likely from their parents. They didn't build their empires, they simply decorated them. The pre-chorus reads, "What do I do it for? I've been working so hard just to give you more. Gotta get it right. What do you do it for? When the rest of the world is falling through the floor, you gotta get it right. You work, and you work. And for what? $7.25 an hour. You put in all this effort just to be underpaid, living paycheck to paycheck, and risking losing your living space." And the lyrics, "When the rest of the world is falling through the floor," hit very hard right now because of obvious reasons. Whether we're in a literal global pandemic that has wiped millions off the face of the earth, or the planet is literally melting into oblivion, we still have to worry about being able to pay rent, electricity bills, water bills, and more. The chorus reads, "You know better, you know you know. It's your teeth in my neck, your teeth in my neck." The chorus is just the title of the song, and it's just the teeth of the bourgeoisie in the necks of the working class. Verse 2 reads, "Some people worship diamonds and pearls, silver and gold just to hold it. They give anything in the world to kill us all off. They take our worth, they pay us dirt. Is it worth it?" Again, very on the nose lyrics that talk about materialism and valuing precious stones and metals, as well as how the bourgeoisie does not give a crap about the working class, aka the people who produce their wealth in the first place. They don't care about regular people. They would quite literally let them die if that means gaining more wealth, followed by how they exploit and underpay the working class. I'm not sure if Galia has read Marx, but I see this as a reference to surplus value, as in the value that is added to your labor that you're not compensated for. The capitalists take our worth, add more value to it to profit, but pay us dirt for it. The second pre-chorus is initially the same as the first one, but the second half reads, "Rich man keeps getting rich and taking from the poor." Wage theft. What else can I say about this? The rich man steals the poor's wages, livelihood, everything, essentially. The bridge reads, "Don't you want to get to know you? Baby, take it slower, slower." This one is somewhat simple, but the first line is what really jumps out to me. Don't you want to get to know you? This is worker alienation. Under capitalism, you become alienated. "Oh, I don't live to work, I work to live." No, you don't. Not in this economy. You live to work. All of your life revolves around working and whether or not you're working enough to sustain yourself, which is most likely no, because corporations pay jack shit. So because you need to live, you work so much and you alienate yourself from your friends, from your families, from the products you make, and from yourself. Don't you want to get to know you? Don't you want to take it slow? Sure, but this is not possible. It's only a desire, a dream. And if it is possible, it's only to a small extent. Next is 10%, which is technically a Kaytranada song, but Galia is credited with writing the song, so I'm including it. But I think whether she wrote it or not, I still would have included it. The song starts with the refrain, "You keep on taking from me, but where's my 10%? You keep on taking from me, I wonder where you went." On the surface, you could see this about being a relationship, and the genius annotation, which I try to deviate from because I wanted this to be my own analysis, even notes that. It seems like Galia is asking for the other person in the relationship to also be cooperative because she thinks it's one-sided, and she specifically says 10% because in some organized religions you are expected expected to tithe, meaning you're expected to give 10% of your income to the organized religion's church. However, if you haven't caught on already, I'm taking this as a monetary complaint, whether it's about her record label or maybe even an older job she had. The boss keeps taking her livelihood from her labor from her, and her time from her, but she's barely being compensated. Mathematically speaking as well, the use of 10% aligns perfectly with the saying, boss makes a dollar, I make a dime, because the dime is 10% of a dollar. Verse 1 really only has one line I want to touch upon. You don't have a clue who to be, look in your eyes, I see the envy. The person Kali is talking about is experiencing alienation, a common theme we'll see throughout this analysis. However, we know that she's talking about one of her higher ups, which is why she follows up with, look in your eyes, I see the envy, because her higher ups are greedy and want more money. They're comparing themselves either to their own higher ups from other companies, or other companies as a whole. Despite making a lot of money, they're envious and enraged that they're making less than their counterparts. The chorus reads, why are you trying to lie for them, pretending who you are, but baby, why even pretend? You're trying way too hard. Ego is not your friend, I only speak the truth. No, I'm not trying to offend, but why are you trying to lie for them? I'm interpreting this chorus in 3 different ways. As we established, this is about the bourgeoisie. So first, a capitalist is lying to other capitalists about how much they make in order to maintain the status quo. Second, the capitalist is lying to their employees, which is our current reality, lying or more so bending the truth about how much workers will earn, PTO, benefits, etc. Lying in order to get away with exploiting their workers as much as possible. And third, one that sort of deviates is what many people would call rich people cosplaying poverty. I'm not in college yet, but from what I've heard, it's pretty common in college or academia for students who are insanely wealthy to act like they're poor, which they do for material gain. A classic example would be one of them claiming they're so broke they can't afford to eat right now, so one of their friends offers to pay for their food, not expecting anything in return. However, the rich student charges their friends for literally everything, even after all the favors they received. Lastly, we have a bridge. I'm a psycho, all the animal, run my money to me, don't act like you didn't know. You've been watered down, baby, I gotta keep it pure. Where's my residuals? I want to point out the lines, run my money to me, don't act like you didn't know. This is extremely indicative of monetary or contractual issues with the record label or boss, shifting away from the relationship side of the song. When talking about your significant other putting in more effort into a relationship, or in this case, putting in 10%, you're not exactly speaking about monetary compensation. You're speaking about time, empathy, or genuine dedication to the relationship. Here, Kali is confirming that this is either her label or her boss and confronting them about not paying her what they owe her. And the next lines, you've been watered down, baby, I gotta keep it pure, where's my residuals, allude to demanding the full value of her labor, not just 10%. Surplus value. Next is Miami featuring Bia. This song isn't exactly anti-capitalist in nature, it's more so in retrospect. I would categorize it as commentary on the American dream, which is capitalist propaganda. Verse 1 reads, I can feel it in the air, ooh Miami, how you pay off all the bills, ooh her panties. When I was just a little girl, I had my sights set on a bigger world, got myself a visa, and started catching flights to where the grass is greener. The song starts with references to sex work, which I will call sex work because I'm scared of YouTube, and the American dream. We've established that the characters or main character of the song does not live in the US because of her desires to get a visa and catch a flight to where the grass is greener. And even though she's not in the US, the extent of capitalist propaganda goes so far as to make those who aren't in the country to believe it's a better land for them, full of opportunities. And the propaganda works because the character most likely had to resort to sex work to sustain herself, something that is sadly pretty common in the global South. And when I say sex work, I don't mean the type you envision in the US or global North, where people opt into it, manage their own earnings, and primarily do it online. I'm talking about people who are essentially forced into it because they have no other options and are out on the street facing violence, mistreatment, and abuse. The chorus reads, live fast and never die, I'm moving at the speed of light. I'll take your money, raise the price, blow up the spot like dynamite. Here we see girl boss Kali. She's describing what her American dream looks like, how she would take advantage of it, but it's also somewhat a reference to surplus value again. Raising the price of something you produced and not being compensated for it, but also raising it to such an extent that even though you produced it, you're not able to afford it. Verse 2 reads, I ain't here to be cute, I ain't here to impress. You know why I'm calling, I'm here to collect. They look at me funny when I write a check because they assumed I'd be paying in sex. And I was looking for a job and then I found one. He said he'd want me in his video like Bound 1, but why would I be Kim? I could be Kanye. Again, we see the references to sex work and the American dream. At this point, Kali has already accomplished the goal because she's paying with the check instead of her body. She's officially a girl boss at this stage, if you will. However, even though she has succeeded monetarily, her status as a woman still results in misogyny, thus the assumption that she's paying with sex. The bridge reads, don't know what I'm running from, but I'm always on the run. Now I can't afford to look back. I just want to know if you want to run, let's go. With the line, can't afford to look back, I see it as Kali saying, I'm constantly working so much that I can't take a break to interact or catch up with what my friends and family that I left back home are doing. Verse 3 is Bia's verse, but I don't really have anything to say about it. It's more of a narrative verse that kind of goes into what I assume is how the pair reached their American dream. namely through drug dealing because of the line "Me llamo Perico pero no me gusta coca," which translates to "My name is Perico but I don't like coke." Perico is a way of saying coke in Spanish, so it's kind of a pun, and I'm reading this as maybe Bia saying that Perico is like her drug lord nickname? Question mark. This also leans into the whole parody of capitalism theme as well, since it's ironic her nickname is a drug she doesn't even do. And at the end of the verse, Bia revisits the whole looking at the past thing with, because when you fast forward, you don't ever look back. So this song isn't exactly socialist, but it's definitely a parody or satire of American capitalism. Next is Just a Stranger, one of my favorites. This song is the contrast of Miami, especially because it's a song after Miami on Isolation. Miami is track 2 and Just a Stranger is track 3. So on one hand with Miami, Gali is singing about having all this money and essentially living the capitalist girl boss dream, but on the other hand with Just a Stranger, we have Steve Lacy singing about how he is the one with the money and girls only like him because he's rich. The song starts with the chorus, "She wants my $100 bills, she don't want love," which is repeated, very obviously about materialism. Verse 1 doesn't have much besides the last line, "No, I won't be here for long, some will say I'm on the run," which is where I established the song's connection with Miami, with the whole "can't afford to look to the past because I'm constantly running and doing so much work." In the pre-chorus, I see another connection to Miami. "Go and say what you want, you're just a stranger watching from the bleachers because you can't take the danger." I know that this verse and pre-chorus are about people who criticize others for being themselves, as Gali states in a Pitchfork interview, but as I said, I also see it as a reference to Miami because we established that Gali, or the character in Miami, is possibly a drug dealer, and the stranger is just watching, not getting involved because they know that drug dealing is dangerous. And Gali is like, "If you want to be a girl boss, sign up to my financial freedom structure. Totally not a Ponzi scheme." Verse 2 is where I really want to dive into. "No, you never knew me then, and you'll never know me now. When bellies are hungry but there ain't no money, you get it and don't care how. Be the one that everyone likes, just approval till they die. I'm the one they love to hate, I'm the one who will survive." Whether intentional or not, this verse is criticizing the lack of what people would consider real or valid jobs, and thus having to resort to sex work or drug dealing, which once again we see in Miami. Sex work, especially recently, is seen as this easy thing to get into, at least in the US or global north. But in global south countries, when bellies are hungry and there ain't no money, you gotta do what you can, meaning a lot of women have to resort to sex work because sadly it sometimes pays more than what a regular job would pay. And similarly, drug dealing, at least according to what I remember from La Rosa, people join it because they believe it's a short-term thing, but then it snowballs and they're stuck in there. You got your bellies fed, but at what cost? It shouldn't have to be this way. Then In My Dreams, which is another song I consider to be a parody or satire of capitalism. Verse 1 reads, "I'm feeling happy inside, I got no reason to hide, I'm a dream girl. I'm never stressing my bills, nobody ever gets killed, it's the dream world. My mom is never on coke, this isn't my way to cope. Washing my mind out with soap." So obviously this is not true, right? From just the title, we understand that this song is describing a fantasy world, one that is seemingly, on the surface, unaffected by capitalism. As Gali says, she doesn't stress about paying her bills, nobody gets killed, and her mom isn't on coke. Throughout the song, Gali uses very specific wording. I don't know if it's just for the rhyming scheme, but it's very specific nonetheless. Here she could have said nobody dies, but she says nobody gets killed, which I'm seeing as nobody gets killed either by the state authorities, or the effects of capitalism, i.e. poverty, war, imperialism, etc. And then for the stressing my bills part, even though Gali is currently successful and has probably been successful for quite a while, people in the arts don't get paid nearly as much as those in fields like STEM, especially singers/recording artists, because they have to pay back what their label invests in them. The chorus reads, "Everything is just wonderful here in my dreams. Every day is a holiday when you're living inside your dreams. Why would anyone stay awake after being so sound asleep? Everything is just wonderful in my dreams." The chorus primarily serves to confirm that this is an idealized world. Verse 2 reads, "He's never messing around, he's always holding it down, he's my dream boy. We bought a house in the clouds so we can only look down, it's the dream world. Don't ever worry or care, except what to pick, what to wear. Why isn't everyone here?" This verse introduces a boy who is loyal to Gali, which, first of all, who wouldn't be loyal to her? Like, why is this loyalty and respect for Gali only idealized? Anyway, then she mentions they bought a house in the clouds, and again we see very specific wording. In this dream world, you're able to buy a house, unlike here where I've seen studio apartments go up for like $5,000 a month, and not even in big cities. So the fact that it's "we bought a house in the clouds" rather than "we have one," or another synonym, I find it to be very intentional. But then we have the line, "Why isn't everyone here?" which is either one of three things. One, most obviously, this is a dream that no one but Gali can see, so it's hidden in the sky, or it's just how dreams are sometimes associated with clouds and fogginess. Two, it's once again a criticism on capitalism and the housing crisis. Not everyone was able to afford a house in the sky, even in the dream world, meaning that this world has to some extent its own economy as well. And three, Gali's dead. The sky is heaven, she's living in heaven, and no one else is there because they're all alive. But I don't know. The bridge reads, "The moments we are happiest are the moments that we don't exist." This line could possibly have two meanings. The first being that they're dead, so they're in heaven, having their happiest moments, but they don't exactly exist anymore. Rather, it's just their souls. The second being that it's about worker alienation, or more so your value as a person being only seen as how much labor you can provide. What I mean by this is that the times you're having fun are most likely when you're not working, not making any money, nor providing any surplus value to your boss, and therefore not existing because our existence revolves around money. This song closes with another chorus, and that's it. Then is tomorrow, which I'll be skipping to the second verse because that's where most of the analysis will be coming from. Verse 2 reads, "Daddy said he needed money, so he put her on the street. She had just turned 13, got a family to feed. Yeah, he grew up in a hurry, that's when she met me. Daddy got a little worried, American dream." Here we see the American dream being explicitly mentioned for the first time. This verse tells us that this family is struggling economically, and the dad believes he has no other option but to also make his daughter start working. Initially, I interpreted this as literally putting her on the street as a street vendor. I don't know how common this is in the US, but in Mexico and most likely the rest of Latin America, you'll see a lot of child street vendors. However, on Genius, whoever wrote the annotation says that this is about sex work, which I had not thought about, which just like street vending is sadly somewhat common in the global south as well. Take for example, when creepy old white men fly out to islands in the global south with the sole purpose of consuming child sex work. And I want to make this clear that children are obviously not the ones to blame here. The blame lies on the white men, the consumers. As for the parents, the blame somewhat lies on them. On one hand, it could be a situation where that is literally their last resort because of how capitalism and imperialism have affected their country and economy, but also, are they not aware of what they're doing? Or are they possibly doing it out of vain? Anyway, the verse continues with the consequences of the dad's actions. The girl grew up too quickly, and this often leads to hypersexualization at a young age. For example, preteens and early teens nowadays that completely skip the awkward phase and go straight to dressing as grown women. Although that example is more so from societal pressures, this specific scenario of growing up in hypersexualization seems like it's a trauma response or a coping mechanism. And rightfully so, the dad got worried. The verse closes with Gali whispering American dream, and this is another case of specific, deliberate wording. The dad was so desperate for money and so engulfed in the American dream mentality about hustling, about grinding, and working nonstop that he decided he should exploit his daughter's body for profit as well. But what did this mentality lead to? It led to the demise of your daughter. It traumatized her. And lastly, aguardiente limón. This is going to be a shorter analysis because it's not about the whole song, just a specific line. This is coming from verse 2, which reads, "If it's true life is what you make it, all the seeds I planted will grow, 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 grow. I just want to savor the fruits of my labor." This one's pretty explicit. She wants to reap the benefits of what she sows. She needs a sickle. She's being exploited by the music industry, as is everyone else who's in that industry and in the working class in general. She wants to get all the value of what she made, but she can't because of a record label. And that was it. That's literally it. This is my first video essay. I'm very excited to post this. And I want to make more, but I just don't know what I'd make it about. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day or whatever.